how do we deal with this population that's in Iran that's obviously ideologically locked into this Islamic mentality?
Yeah, so it's going to take years, okay? It's going to take decades of dealing with them. So yeah, a lot of these people that you see in these, Hosseinias, all of the pro-regime people in Ashura Tasua, there is, like, even though they're a small percentage of the population, there's still a lot of them, right? And it's our responsibility to deal with them after the Islamic Republic falls. And I've seen a lot of Iranians try to, like, come up with methods that I think is going to make the problem worse. Like, I've heard people saying ban the mosques, or ban Islam, ban anything Islamic related, arrest all of them, anybody who supported the regime. I mean, none of that is reasonable. There's no way that you could do any of that, right? I do think that, as challenging as it's going to be, it's not as challenging as some people assume, because all other countries have their fair share of people with shit takes, you know? Like, even advanced countries in Europe, like, we have so many people with garbage views. In the United States, we have many people in university students coming out and supporting Hamas and Hezbollah, free Palestine, right? So they have those people as well, right? So it's a challenge, but it's a normal challenge for a country to have, right? So I know a lot of people look at it and are like, oh my God, it's going to be a disaster trying to live with these people. But I challenge them and tell them, show me a country that doesn't have a people with some shit ideologies. And honestly, as big of a challenge this is going to be, it's a normal challenge. Like, we end up becoming a normal country. Like, right now, our challenge is how to deal with these people killing us in tens of thousands and arresting us and suppressing us, right? But this challenge that you're talking about is a challenge that normal countries have. So it's not going to be easy, but at least we're going to turn into a country that has normal problems, not this crazy, like, genocide, like, your own government trying to do genocide on you, right? So, and obviously, this might be a boring answer, but it's basically education, debates, reach out, YouTube videos, talking, de-radicalizing the children, laws that makes it illegal for parents to radicalize their children, right? Ending, you know, shutting down a lot of the mosques that have been government funded mosques, and all the mosques has to be privately owned and privately operated, no support from the regime. And one thing I think needs to be done is a complete de radicalization program in school. I think it's going to be mandatory for kids to be told about Iran's history. I think there needs to be a huge cultural education with regards to how basically reintroducing the Iranian children to their glorious past, to their kings, to to the Persian culture, to hey hello, to the rich culture of Iran. So this is what, basically, this is what Mohammad Reza Shah was doing. Mohammad Reza Shah wasn't able to, he knew that he couldn't do with Islam what he was doing with communism, right? Because communism was something new that came from the Soviet Union. So basically, trying to crush that movement wouldn't get the type of reaction w- that you he would have received if he was crushing the mullahs, because Islam was too deeply ingrained within society. So what Mohammad Reza Shah was doing instead was working on education and competing with the mullahs by reintroducing Irans to their own ancient culture as something, as an alternative to what was being given to people in the mosques. So the mullahs had the mosques and the communists had the universities. And Mohammad Reza Shah was trying to do Jashnai 2500 Saleh, basically the showing to the Iranian people that their Muslim identity or a communist identity, he was competing with that with an Iranian identity. So when it comes to Islam, when it comes to, you know, these movements, a lot of people think it's about educating people and telling them what's true, and it doesn't work that like that, because ideologies is not about convincing people what is true and what is false. It's about giving them an identity that they could wear as a clothes and they're happy with it, right? So when people are Muslim, it's not because they the logical arguments about Islam convince them that Islam is true. It's because the Muslim identity fits them. They put it on, and it seems like it fits them, right? When people become communists, it's not because they basically did a calculation and are like, oh, this is actually how we make societies better. They went into communist groups and they liked that environment, they liked those people, they felt like they belong in there, and they became communists because they liked that crowd. So if you want to fight against any types of any of these ideology, instead of like just only focusing on what telling people why they're wrong, is you have to give them community, you have to give them a sense of belonging, you have to give them a culture that they feel like, okay, that they resonate with. So if you want to take something away from them, you have to get them something else to wear. And Iranians in Iran, we have such a sense of our national identity is the best way to fight against the Islamic ideology, right? And basically showing, having festivals, having celebrations, basically our books being filled with how rich our Persian history and identity is, reaching out to children, having children's programs where kids are basically, I don't know, like coloring books of our kings or going to beautiful celebration. Like we need to basically do Nowruz, for example, and Shab Yaldo, and all of those need to become the most beautiful, festive events that the entire country is celebrating at the same time, for kids to grow up in an environment that being something that is all over our education system. That would be such an easy win for us. Imagine the next generations of kids being born in Iran. You look at Ashura Tasua, right? What is it? It's blood, it's blackness, it's crying, it's hitting yourself, it's talking about, beheadings, right? And it's all about crying, 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 and it's about death, right? But imagine once we have the full government backing and funding on celebrating Nowruz in a way that we haven't done so in the past 47 years. Shabe Yaldo, colors, you know, all the most fun activities. If you grew the next generation of children being born in that environment, seeing the colorfulness, nature, the festive, colorful nature of celebrating life compared to all the black darkness and crying and mourning nature of Shia Islam celebrating death, I think this is going to be the easiest win for us. From a lot of these people are too far gone, and I think we need to be investing in their children. I know this sounds bad, but we need to steal their children away from them, right? So we need to focus on their children and try to basically bring them on our side using our education system, using our school, our media, using basically creating the most fun, festive activities that you possibly can to basically reach out to their children and bring them to our side. And this is a more long-term investment, I think, in my mind, rather than basically flipping a switch and basically getting rid of all of them. That's the only that's and one more last thing. Sorry, I know this is getting too long. I think banning Islamic practices in private is going to backfire. So anybody who says we need to shut down all the mosques, we need to ban Islam, we need to ban people being able to pray, if we do that, that's the best way to help grow Islam, right? I mean, yeah, I mean, look at Turkey, for example. I mean, look at so I don't think I don't think that's the best idea. In fact, if you turn them to the victim, religion feeds on victimhood, right? So don't make them a victim. Let them just get it out of government. Let them privately do what they want as long as they're not harming anybody. But reach out to them, especially to their young. Does that make sense, Behzad? Do you have any of your own thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember the Shah was doing that. I was in Iran at the time. I was in school. I remember when he changed the calendar over to the imperial calendar and so forth. And we were doing all of that. But I mean, you understand Iran's political situation is a bit more precarious than most countries. We have a lot of foreign involvement in our most of these separatist groups in Iran. At that time, it was the communists, and then later the Islamists were fed by a lot of people who were opportunistic and they wanted to take advantage of Iran. And some of these separatist groups are actually fed by them. I mean, people talk about, for example, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. That actually started as an academic endeavor back in the 1910s and 1912, I think, and it was hijacked later by the British and turned into they radicalized it. Most of these radical groups in Asia are very, very foreign backed.
But honestly, I don't think they have a chance against the national force of the Iranian people. Especially, I mean, look at what I mean. All of these foreign forces, they're not going to have as much influence as the Islamic Republic itself in the past 47 years inside Iran. And even with the Islamic Republic and all this propaganda, the past 47 years has been the most devastating to the Islamic ideology. Like, I was in Iran 20 years ago, right? And I'd never imagined people celebrating Israel the way that they are right now, 20 years ago. This many people hating Islam. Like, Iran has turned into the Islamophobia capital of the planet. Once the Islamic Republic falls, our main export is not going to be oil or gas. It's going to be Islamophobia, right? That's going to be our number one export. So, so I think, like, and people like 47 years ago, when you mention any of the imams, people will show so much respect for that. Like, in 47 years ago, in one generation, we went from a country that respects Islam to the number one hater of Islam in the whole planet. So, and that was before the Islamic Republic killed more than 40,000 Iranians in 2 days. Like, all of that, I mean, the level of hatred now after that, like, in those 2 days, I believe the Islamic Republic managed to create more hatred for Islam than all that everything that it did in the past 47 years, just in those 2 days. Just in those 2 days. There's so many people, like, people in Iran are telling me, like, Armin, my grandma stopped praying. My grandma said I would never pray again after those 2 days. I get, like, they're like, I never, like, I never imagined they were doing the same thing as well. People are saying, fuck Hussein, like, read them by Hussein, like, older generations of people. That kids are like, what the hell? My auntie is saying I read them by Hussein. Like, they never. So I think that, if I know we're going to have a problem, but we have made a progress that other countries would have to make in hundreds of years in just a few decades. So this is a huge leap forward, and I think that once Iran is free, we're going to the recovery from Islamic ideology is going to be a lot faster than a lot of people anticipate. So, guys, I know I need to go soon, but so how many more people left? Yeah,
Have
Behzad,
three more on the list. So Armin, if you'd like, it is 1:50, 2 minutes till the hour. Would you like to just go ahead and cut out and I can save it? One of them is Danny, the other is a question I have from chat. So it can absolutely be saved until next time if you'd like to get out. That way you have time.
I, th- I think we could just go through them fast, if that's
Okay.
okay.
So the
Yeah.
question is from Nariman. My father served in the Artesh during the 80s and was on the front lines against Iraq. He mentioned that the recent announcement by our beloved Crown Prince carries the scent of a mobilization of the regular army. In his opinion, the address bears clear signatures of such a move. What is your take on this, Armin?
Yeah, I mean, your father is obviously more experienced than I, so for me to comment on this, but that's the sense that I got was the same thing. By the way, tell your father thank you for his service. By the way, protecting our borders. But no, basically, I got the same impression, but I wasn't very qualified to talk about that. But that's exactly the same. It was very direct. It seemed like he was giving his final commands before a battle to his army. That's exactly the sense that I got. But yeah, so short answer, yes.
Okay, next we have Danny.
Hi, I have a question about the school bombing. Have we heard the Iranian alleging that his or her child was one of the kids killed in the strike? And if not, is this unexpected slash inconsistent with a strike actually happening?
That is actually a very good question. Like, this is why I'm saying we should be waiting, because we're hearing two narratives. The Islamic Republic did it, or was it a mistake by the Americans? But there's another third narrative that it didn't happen, right? Because I was, again, anything could be possible, but usually the Islamic Republic will go show their, body bags, bring their parents crying on TV, and I'm not seeing any of that. I'm like, why are we not seeing that? Like, this would, for the Islamic Republic's perspective, this would be a great opportunity to embarrass Americans by doing as much coverage on this as they possibly could. So why is none of that is being shown? That's very suspicious. Good observation. So I don't know why.
And this, again, there could be a different reason, but if this is actually, then that would point specifically to the third scenario, that nothing happened, not even to them hitting Iranians themselves.
Yeah, yeah, that maybe like there wasn't any. But I hope this is that's actually what happened. That nobody, yeah, yeah, but we don't know. Still have to wait. Yeah. Okay. Was there anyone else?
That is the end of the list for recording.
Okay, let me stop the recording then.